Three, two, one. Hello, hello, hello. Wherever you are joining from today, I want to bring into your space someone with very unique ideas, someone with a very thoughtful mind. Unlike most other people that I've brought here, they brought some fire, they're burning down the building. This one is just saying, whoa, 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 wait a minute, pause it down, slow it down. How about you can reflect, think about what you're going to say before you say it? Why am I saying so? Because we have around the virtual studio, the Story Warrior Studio, Miss Lyra Ndifon, who is a YouTuber, who is a podcaster, whatever cool name you want to attach to the people that create a lot of content, you can attach to this amazing podcaster. She creates a podcast called Self Reflection. And I don't know if I can remember well, but in my grad studies, I read about a famous American educator by name Jack Meziro. Jack Meziro said, for adults to learn most, they have to pause and reflect. They have to stop and think because without thinking, without reflection, you don't get much accomplished. So I would say maybe Lyra is a follower of the Jack Meziros of the world. Good afternoon, good evening, or is it good morning? Lyra, where are you joining from? Is it morning, afternoon, where you are today? Tell us.
Hello everyone. I want to first of all say thank you so much for allowing me to join your space.
Of course.
I feel grateful. It's been a blessing to get to know you from the first day we got to talk to each other. When I
Thank you.
messaged you on LinkedIn,
Yes.
thanks to my sister Karen for sharing your LinkedIn with me and connecting me to you. So thank you
Yes.
for that. And also, I want to say thank you for all the work that you're doing for all our African.
I'm learning from you. I'm learning from you. I think you're my YouTube predecessor. You've probably been YouTube before I was born. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I am joining from California right now.
Okay, okay, good. And today I am on the road. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. I usually don't have this amazing background. My background is a little bit different, but this is like all that I've got today. But I'm still happy to have this conversation with you because I consider myself a story warrior. A story warrior is someone who helps others to tell their story, who helps others to fight business fires by telling stories, not firing a shot, not doing anything, not weaponizing, but using a story as an instrument to bring people together, to uplift people, to inform people, to inspire people. And yes, I'm a product of Africa, produced in Asia, packaged in America, and distributed worldwide. Miss Lyra Ndifon, I know the lady behind Self Reflection Podcast. I think you're also, maybe if I guess, a product of Africa, even though you don't sound very much Africa. Tell us, where are you originally from, Lyra?
Yes, I am a product of Africa. I am originally from
Yoo-hoo.
Cameroon. Bamenda girl here, Bamenda girl. So,
Good for you.
my parents from Momo division from Guy,
Momo is winning. Yes.
but she not.
My fuzzy.
But she.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, what really struck me about your work is that you are very eloquent, you're very young, and probably the youngest guest we've had on this call. We've had a Gen Y, and I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess. Maybe you're Gen Z, but that's not what is important. What's important is that you bring very deep thoughts into the world. You want people to think. Why are you so passionate? Why do you want people to think? Do you know how expensive? Do you know how difficult it is for people to think and pause and reflect? It burns a lot of calories. Do you know that, Lyra? It's a lot of effort. That's why people don't want to think.
Yeah.
Why you want us to think?
Um, you know, at least for myself, right? I have found
Mm.
that, when we are able to think, especially think for ourselves,
Mm.
when we're able to think, it allow us to be more whole because,
Mm.
I think a lot of us are think we are just this physical body that is functioning in this world, right? A lot of us just function from the physical place. But when we're able to think, we connect with the higher consciousness, we connect with the godlike consciousness,
Mm,
and we also, connect with our um, inner self. So
mhm,
I, I don't know. It's always been a thing of mine. Also, I'm just a curious person.
mhm.
You could say that. I like
We share
to,
that threat. I love to be. I'm curious too.
yeah, I like to investigate things, but in a healthy way. And also I have come to realize that when I think, I make better decisions.
Mm, 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 mm.
And when I also think, I'm a lot more empathetic and
Yeah.
understanding towards others and their
Mm.
feelings. Yeah.
So, is that one of the things you promote on the Self Reflection podcast? You bring people and tell them, hey, folks, or guests, sit there and reflect about your life, reflect about your mistakes. Are you reminding us about our mistakes, or are you trying to remind us about the possibilities of tomorrow? I don't know which one, but either way, I think it's good. Tell us
Mm.
what.
I don't know if I'm trying to remind people about their mistakes. I
Yeah.
don't think that's the aim behind self-reflection podcast. I think, the aim there is to be able to, for myself, self-reflection podcast is like, it's for you to help yourself heal,
I
you
see.
know,
Oh.
because thinking is you doing reflection, right? When you're able to sit in silence and
Mm,
allow your thoughts to flow, that's you thinking. It could,
mhm,
even though it could be a controlled thinking, right?
mhm,
But self-reflection podcast is me reminding you, like, hey, you have the ability to heal yourself. You have the
mm,
ability to reprogram your mind. You have
mm,
the ability to be able to tap into the infinity knowledge that we
mhm,
have.
mhm.
The subconscious mind, you have the ability to be able to slow down that unconscious programming that we don't really pay attention to as much.
Mm. That's very deep. That's very deep. I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it. But the one that really struck me was the one about healing.
Mhm.
And I know that I'm an immigrant, I'm a first generation immigrant. I suspect from your background, you're also a first generation immigrant.
Mhm.
Is it particularly popular within immigrant groups for people to encourage self reflection and thinking about the past, the present, and the future?
No, that's the one thing that we don't really do in our immigrants family. Uh, I would say it's not even a. I don't think it's even a conversation we have in our family homes,
Hmm.
right? I think I got to learn this when I went away to college. When I had my own experiences of trying to understand my emotions.
Hmm.
During my senior year in college,
Hmm.
that's when I I found self-reflection in a way. That's when I started trying to
Hmm.
process my emotions as well, because just not to take a lot of time here.
No, it's good. It's good. Go ahead.
I was when I went to Sonoma State, and I played basketball on I, I've been playing basketball all my life, so I played
Wow,
basketball at Sonoma College.
that's a big deal.
Yes, it was. Thank
Hmm.
you. And at Sonoma College, when my senior year, I wasn't playing as well as I wanted to. So
Hmm.
that took a toll on me because like I said, throughout my entire life, I've been playing basketball. I played basketball from sunrise to sunset.
Hmm.
I remember when I was in high school, before I got a car, to I would catch the bus and then catch the light rail and then catch another bus just to make a 6:30 7 a.m. workout. That was
Wow.
offered to me by Mike Allen. Shout out to Mike Allen if he ever
Hmm.
watched this video.
Yes.
So he was willing to train me for free if I was able to get myself there.
Hmm.
So I would wake up at like 5 o'clock or so. And then by the time 6 o'clock reach, I'm leaving the house so that I get there by 7.
Hmm.
Um, so I was that one of those people that I was so into basketball because that's something I thought I was going to do when I
Hmm.
graduated from college. I thought I was going to go overseas and play basketball because that was my dream as a little girl.
Professionally, yeah. Hmm.
Yes. So fast forward when I got to Sonoma State my senior year, I wasn't performing at the level that I wanted to perform at, and instead at that moment, I think I wasn't at the level of consciousness that I am right now. I wasn't at the level of which I could take responsibility for
Hmm.
my own action. So in that moment, I think I was blaming everybody else. Like
Hmm.
my coach, I'm like, oh, my coach don't like me. I'm like this and then that and this is that, right? So I end up falling into this like sad depression space where it's
Hmm.
like because my entire worth, my
Hmm.
self-esteem, my confidence, who I was, my identity was basketball. But
Hmm.
because I lost that in the process of not being able to play at the level
Hmm.
that I wanted to, I lost myself in that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So throughout the year, I had to start finding myself again in that space.
Wow.
So that's where this whole self-reflection kind of evolved.
Hmm. Wow, that's interesting. So,
Yeah.
your self-reflection came out of a crisis. It was born of a crisis. It wasn't something that you thought of it as I want to make a quick dollar. I want to use it to help other people, but it came out of your own personal crisis. So now, when you evolve out of that through your reflection, what big lesson, what big revelation did you have for yourself as a
Yeah.
young woman coming of age and after college, going to the work world?
So uh I would say self-reflection didn't happen in college, right? It
Yeah,
happened when I graduated from college because I graduated in 2020 during the pandemic.
I see.
And I had moved out. So even though I had graduated, I was still trying to work on myself, right? I was still trying to develop myself because I had found that new liberation in college.
Mm-hmm.
One day I was listening to my recording because I journal, but
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I journal by talking to my cell phone. I
Mm-hmm.
record myself. So one day I was re-listening to all of my recordings, all my journals, and it gave me another life, right? It gave me another hope. I remember just feeling myself being so motivated and being inspired by the words that I was telling myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, I can create a podcast. I was like, oh my God, somebody else can listen to this, somebody else can benefit from this. And mind you, at this time I was also working with young adults that are struggling with their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
you know I was working with adults that were 18 to 25, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, they could also benefit from this. So that's where the self-reflection podcast evolved in. And I guess the lesson that I learned from my own journey, right, from my own like struggle, my own pain, in that in the mindset I'm in right now is, um you know be able to take responsibility for your actions, be able to
Mm-hmm.
hold yourself accountable, because I feel like if I had held myself accountable when I was in
Mm.
college, I could have went to my coach and asked for help
Yes.
over and over. I could have asked some friends like, "Hey, can you work out with me more?" I could have
Yes. Yes.
I could have had those extra support, but
Yeah.
because I didn't have the mentality that I have now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because of that experience that I have the mentality that I have now. But
Mm.
because I didn't have that, it allowed me to gain this new
Mm.
for myself.
Okay, now that's profound. And I know there's a psychologist or psychiatrist, the late Dr. Al Sibet, who talks about something called the locus of control. So
Mm,
when the locus of control is when it's internal, we take ownership. When the locus of control is outside, we blame others for everything. So what you're telling me here, what I'm understanding is that you shifted your locus of control from others to you, and that was liberating because you now said, you know what, I can do that. I can
yeah.
do the other thing. I can charge in this direction. I can go in that direction. So How has your career evolved after that, and where are you today?
You know, I also want to just add real quick, you know, from what you just said, not
Mm.
only did it like gave me that, it also like gave me confidence. It gave me
Oh.
power, you know,
Mm.
because instead of me giving away my power to the external, the things that
Yes.
I couldn't control, right? It gave
Yes.
me the power to be like, okay, now I can control what happens to me in the
Yes.
future. I can, you know, I could, because of me taking that responsibility in that space.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. And I think you being someone who's been very good and very vested in basketball, in other words, I'm not gonna just give my shot to the other player to throw it. I'm gonna work a little harder, two more steps, so I can drop it right into the hoop. Is that what you're saying? And I guess you're a basketball player. I cannot play any basketball. I should take lessons from you. But so now, if you go into the court, you more like assertive in terms of like, I got this, I can throw this hoop myself, not going to give it to anybody else. Tell us about, I don't know if that analogy or that example even works at all in terms of taking ownership.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, I'm not I'm going to, yes, I would, you know, take the shot and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
I want to bring it to the journey and the question that you had asked earlier, right?
Hmm.
Where am I with my career due to this
Yes,
whole thing?
yes. Oh,
You
that's a
know,
much bigger question. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to connect them both.
Please.
You know, I think it has allowed me to have the confidence to be able to go on the journey that I'm on right now. You know,
Mm,
because with my career, I am this is my third year in hosting my self-reflection podcast. You
there you
know,
go.
so it has allowed me to have the confidence to be able to say, you know what, even if things don't work out the right way, I
Hmm.
can still try. I can do whatever I want. It has allowed me to say I can be the best podcaster that I can be for myself. You know what I'm saying? And
Yes,
when it comes on to career, that's what I feel like that whole
go
thing is
for it.
to
Go
to
for
be.
it. And the good news is, as far as podcasts go, you are like the great 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 grandfather, great great grandma to mine, because hey, mine is still within the first year, and I'm still like I don't even know how to crawl yet. So you are doing something exceptionally amazing. I've watched some of your episodes, like the one with Mr. Wong, or is it Professor Wong, the musician. I've watched a number of them, and they're very very incisive. And I don't know if you realize this, the area in which you're playing now, which has to do with helping people to reflect, think, and move forward within the immigrant community is like a minefield. There are explosives everywhere. Things can blow up because mental health, I'm not equating it exactly to mental health, but you're actually getting people to think, to go into their own mental minds and examine themselves. Do you know that mental work is a taboo in the in the immigrant community? Especially, we don't even talk about that word, we don't even mention that. But you're not telling us, hey guys, there's a path in this direction. I may not be the one to help you, but it's a path in this direction. I want you to walk there. You know, that's a very dangerous path for all of us, and it could cause some major disasters here and there.
Yeah.
Disasters in quote.
Yeah, I think, and I also think that's why I kind of took the path of which I went on, you know, because I wanted it to be like one taking the like when you say self-reflection, right, you're talking about yourself.
Hmm.
So it is like you taking the power, you
Hmm.
know, and understanding that it's my mental health that I need to care for, right? It is
Hmm.
myself that I need to protect. It is myself that I need to set boundaries for. You know,
Hmm.
it is my health that I need to prioritize, you know,
Hmm.
and I also, you know, for all my African brothers and sisters all across the world, you know, mental health our mental health challenges, right? Or illness, whatever label we want to label them, it has no discrimination. That's one of the things that I'm also trying to push, like for especially Africans here in the diaspora and back in the motherland. I'm
Hmm.
trying to push that idea that mental illness has no boundaries. It doesn't see color. It
Mhm.
doesn't see gender. It
Yeah.
doesn't see race. It doesn't see continent. You
Mhm.
know, so wherever you are, right, you can still struggle with your mental health. And I think a lot of my brothers and sisters, my brothers and sisters that look like me,
Mhm.
um, I think that from historical, historically, with all the challenges that our ancestors have faced, right? I
Mhm.
think that we have subconsciously, adopt some of those traumas that they went through, right?
Mm. Mhm.
For instance, when you take slavery,
Mhm.
right, there was so much abuse that happened in that space, so all the young generation that come from that ancestors,
Mhm.
we have adopted those traumatic, feelings, emotions, and
Mm.
all the other things that come from it, because I think
Mm.
mental health, goes back at least 4 generations. So
Mm. Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah,
That's a scientific fact?
I think so.
That's
Yes, it goes
crazy.
at least four
Whoa.
generations back. So
Wow.
yeah, so all my brothers and sisters in Cameroon, when you look at us in our own country, you know what I'm saying, and you look how the system is, you see that a lot of people are struggling with their mental health. Like when I went to Cameroon in January, you know, I saw a lot of people struggling with their mental health because the conditions of which they're living in was
Mhm.
not healthy.
Mhm.
And I saw a lot of people self-medicating with alcohol. So
Mm.
it so it's really important for me to like inspire, especially
Mhm.
this generation, to be able to be the generation to break that curse, or to break
Mhm.
that barrier down,
Mhm.
and say let's prioritize our mental health so that the generations behind us don't have to deal with what we had to deal
Mm.
with, or don't have to deal with what our parents had to deal with. Because when you look down from, the top to the bottom, from our parents to us, our parents never got the support, when it comes down to the mental health, right?
Mhm.
Mental health talk, like we just mentioned earlier, mental health topics was
Mhm.
not something that was said in the African home. So,
Yes.
so that generation, they miss the
Mhm.
aspect of caring for self, right?
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
it was go, 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 go. It's either you get married at 15, 13, from our parents' generation, you get married at 18, you start having kids, and your life becomes the kid's life. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's like I want this generation to be able to realize that it is up to us to be able to break that curse, that
Mhm.
so-called curse that, it surrounds our mental health.
Mm.
And
So,
let's not just put it as it's a white thing, because that's a
okay.
thing.
Yes, because I have met countless friends who say that uh, our African brothers and sisters, our therapy is
Hmm.
when we get together and talk and sing and dance. They say we don't see no therapist. We don't go out and looking to see talk to a therapist. But I also argue sometimes that the complexity of the world in which we live today in America is different from the complexity of the places in which we grew up,
Hmm.
or where our parents grew up. Lives in that community or the communities out there in the motherland were a lot simpler, a
Yeah.
little bit more well defined. Here, you are running with a job, you're
Hmm.
dealing with layers and layers of bureaucracy, you're dealing with complex, new scientific discoveries, you're dealing with taxation, severe taxation, you're dealing with county ordinances, you're dealing with environmental EPA regulations, you're
Hmm.
dealing with phone bills, you're dealing with who knows what,
Yeah.
the mails that are coming to you from people soliciting favors, from people asking for all kinds of things. So and in one single day you get 20, 30 pieces of mail. You don't have time to go through three of them. How much more? The 10th, the 15th, and then on top of that, you still have to raise your children, and
Hmm.
they go into a school system that you're not familiar with. You go to a church. The churches are divided along political lines. So you have a myriad of things to deal with. Now, I'm just complaining because I know these are some of the things that I hear people complain about. But what I want to bring to you and lay on your table is, in the face of all this confusion, what can someone like you, help younger people who are also wrestling with these issues? What can you help them? What suggestions, what kind of advice you give them to get help? Because they're not necessarily getting the help from the homes. Some
Yeah.
of us who are parents, we don't have the answers. I'm clueless. And I got a daughter, I got a stepson, and I cannot answer all their questions. The way they challenge me, I cannot talk to my parents like that. I don't know, but what kind of solutions do you provide to some of these young people who are feeling lost? And we, the parents, are also feeling lost.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question. I want to first start by saying, like, in our African homes, like you just mentioned, right? Um, when before this awakening age, right? It was hard for the, our parents' age, right? It was hard for them to speak to their parents,
Yep.
and
Yep.
express themselves how they
Yeah.
truly feel.
Yes.
So there is that generational suppression,
Yes.
right, that has been on the hush hush hush,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and I want to create space for the parents right now
mm-hmm,
to, I think, to just be okay with not knowing,
mm-hmm,
because I feel like sometimes parents have that weight on their shoulders, like, how can I help my child? How
mm-hmm,
can I do this? How can I do that? Right.
mm,
And especially if you're in this, like in the US,
mm-hmm.
the system is complicated. Sometimes
Very.
really don't know. And sometimes if you are a French person that moved to the United States,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know English,
Yeah. You're
so
still
that
wrestling with that.
becomes a barrier as
Yeah.
well. So I
Yeah.
just want to create space for the parents right now and say it's okay for you not to know, you know. But I think what is not okay is you not knowing and you not trying to understand where the child is coming from.
Mm. But
And I, sorry.
sometimes they do that out of self-protection. They're like, oh, don't talk about this, or this is not the right time to talk about, just to kind of like quell things down. But
Mhm.
I know you are probably having a very important thought there. So parents, it's okay to say, I don't have all the answers, and I want to listen and I want to learn. What else can you tell them, or what else can you share with the younger ones or the older ones, like myself, or even a whole lot more older
Yeah.
than me? What else can we learn from you? Because you seem to be building the bridge between the younger ones and the older ones who are very gray.
Yeah, and this is where the open communication comes from, right? And I think the children, because we are more into this, like, self-care, self-love, mental
Mhm.
health, it is up to us now to be able to narrate the space for our parents, to be able to sit down with our parents, and also have patience for your give your parents patience in this space for them to be able to understand you, because they might not be able to comprehend what you're trying to say to them.
Yes.
And then as a young person, I think, if it's important for, let's say, it's important for you to have a supportive team around you, whether it's friends, whether
Mm.
it's talking to a therapist, what if
Mhm.
you having a pastor, what if you having a group, right?
Mhm.
One of the things that helped me was being on a basketball team.
Mhm.
I had a community of women all the
Mhm.
time. So for young people, don't shut yourself out. Be open with your feelings, be vulnerable with your feelings. I know in our African homes, that's not something that is promoted.
Mhm.
Uh, that's not something that we encourage each other to do. So,
Yes.
for all the young people, be vulnerable with your feelings, and be willing to say, I'm struggling and I need help.
Mm.
I need that support right now. And also,
Okay.
it is up to you to also take that responsibility to want to self heal as well.
Okay, I'm making a mental note here for myself. I'm going to send a memo to myself when I hear the word I'm struggling, provided I hear that if it comes up, or and I talk to other parents when a child says I'm struggling, please, it's time to pause
Mhm.
and self-reflect. Self-reflection. Remember the keywords from Lyra. Lyra says we have to reflect. And in that case, should you reflect alone, or should you reflect with your daughter, with your son, your grandson, so that you can find some common ground? What would you advocate?
I think all of them above are definitely necessary and also healthy.
Hmm.
It's important for you to be able to have people that you can bounce ideas of,
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing some verbal reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're going to see a therapist, that's a great
Mm-hmm.
place for you to do a reflection from, because the therapist can absorb that type of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's important for you to do self reflections by yourself. This is
Mm-hmm.
something that I really encourage a lot for people to do. At least 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally do self reflection anywhere at any time.
Mm-hmm.
In the at the grocery store, at the grocery
Mm-hmm.
line, I mean grocery lines,
Mm-hmm.
at the stop signs, at the
Mm-hmm.
stop lights,
Mm-hmm.
right? You can just have that moment of like wusa, where it allows you to bring you to the present. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
one thing self-reflection does. It's a form of meditation, I guess you could say.
Mm. A moment ago, I even heard birds chirping in the background. I was almost asking Lyra, were you practicing some yoga outside and sitting like a Trappist monk? Or I heard birds chirping. Now they're no longer chirping, but it got my attention. So self-reflection is a form of, you say yoga? It's a form of
Meditation, that's
meditation. Okay, mindfulness and meditation.
yeah.
So another issue is when the word therapist comes up in an immigrant African circle,
Yeah.
it's often shunned upon. It's not something that people encourage. What message do you have for first generation African immigrants? And yes, I'm sure people of other immigrant backgrounds,
Hmm.
because I was listening recently to a famous Dallas-based broadcaster by name Chris Boyd. She was interviewing someone in who is a therapist, and she grew up in a mixed home. Both her parents are from Asia, and she said when she was struggling quite a bit, her parents did not quite get it. They said, no, if you have a problem, bring it home. Let's talk about it. You cannot take it to a therapist. We don't know this therapist as a stranger. And that sounds like a very Western thing. But what you're saying is that it's okay, but for an African immigrant, it feels like it's betrayal. You're betraying the family secrets. You're unable to allow us to hold together because we are collectivist communities. You're exposing our laundry, our family laundry out there to somebody we don't know. Who knows? Maybe that person takes it to the authorities. What
Hmm.
you're telling me is that it's okay to allow that to happen. And isn't that deviating so much from our culture, which has been handed down to us as part of our heritage for thousands and thousands of years?
Yes. That's such a beautiful way to say it, because when you look back, our culture in Africa, right?
Mhm.
We grow up in communities.
Mhm.
Like the neighbor can watch the kids,
Yes,
grandma
absolutely.
watches the kids. The
Yes,
everybody watches a kid, right? So
yes,
even
absolutely.
even if we struggle with our mental health, we still have that community aspect,
Mhm.
you know, um, which can which can liberate a little bit,
For the
of
pain.
that. Yeah.
Mhm.
But in America here,
Mm,
you don't even know your neighbor,
absolutely.
and that's a perspective I want immigrant parents to.
Finally, I get it. I'm going to take my first sip of water. I get it now. Please go ahead.
We don't know the neighbors, so I want our parents to realize that it's not airing our dirty laundry.
Mhm.
It is us finding the best way to cope with ourselves.
Mm.
And this therapists are, everything is confidential. They don't tell your business. They can't speak about it.
You're not going to blow my business out there
They're
and let
not
the whole
gonna
world
blow
know
your
that.
business out there, because if
Okay.
they do blow your business, you sue them.
Because you know like back home, if you do something wrong, the parents can really, they can take it hard on you. They're tiger moms, the tiger parents. But here you cannot even afford tiger parenting. You're basically tiptoeing around your children because you don't want, god forbid, anything happens, and then they blow your business out there, and then you're out in the system, and then that's it. Go down the drain, go down the tubes, that's it. The family name is erased.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're emphasizing that it is a matter of urgency to get the help, because the family fabric in America is different from the family fabric in Africa. And I totally get that. Absolutely. I appreciate that, because check this out.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a lot of effort when I was coming over here yesterday to plead with my neighbor to take out my trash on Monday because I'm not going to be there. If
Uh,
it was back in Africa, I would be like, hey, get this done for me. You get, and I'd probably go buy him a coffee. But
mm-hmm.
it was a lot of effort. And if I had not cultivated that relationship with that person, I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to do that. Now I could do it for trash, but I cannot do that for my child. I can't do that for, no, can they do that? Say, hey, can you look after my kid? That's almost impossible. Back
Mm-hmm.
home, that is normal.
Yeah.
Every mother is your mother. Every father is your father. If I got into trouble sometimes, it was because I thought, oh, my mom is not here. But the other mother saw me and they held me accountable. I'm
Mhm.
serious. They
Yes.
held me accountable just as much as my mom. And this is 2, 3 villages away. But
Mhm.
there's a collective understanding that every child is also your child. That
Yeah.
doesn't happen here. So, are you saying our therapists and now our new parents? Uh,
I'm not saying that. They're part of
okay,
our community now. They're
okay,
part of our
okay. There are new family members that we need to respect now
yes.
in the context of America.
Yes.
I need to sleep over that. I need to really take another sip of water to let that one.
It's sinking.
Mm. Okay, so you are a bridge builder. You're building bridges between young people and older people. Have you ever had a unique case in which you felt like, oh my God, this is clearly because we are at the intersection of cultures. We're no longer like they say you're no longer in Kansas or we're no longer in the motherland. Have you ever had a case in which you say, "Oh, this is clearly because there are intersection of cultures and we've not fully understood how to deal with this particular case or with this kind of issues." Have you ever had any unique cases like that which you want to share? Please, I'm not putting you on the spot. Just in case one comes to your mind, bring it up. If not, I got another
Yeah.
question. I got another question.
You need. I can't think of something right now.
Okay, now, okay, another one. What is your superpower?
That's
What
a
is the
good.
one thing that you, as a young person, you do exceptionally well? Don't tell me it's basketball. Okay, of course it's already. We know it's basketball. Which other super skill do you have in
Yeah.
terms of those of us who are coming from a million miles away? We're trying to get settled here. You came in very young. You know the system better than some of us who came in much later.
Hmm.
What are some of the super skills that you've been able to pick up from this system that you can say, this is worth keep learning, this is worth using? And some of them, not everything from Western culture is good. Give
Yes.
us maybe 1 or 2, 3 examples of elements of Western culture that you think that can actually help immigrant families to function better.
Um, I think learning or knowing the system in the area that you're in,
Okay, learning the system.
knowing what is available for you when it comes in terms of support. I am going to
Mm,
use our family as example.
mhm,
When we first moved to the US, we had EBT. I don't know if you guys how you guys say that, the food stamps.
mhm,
So I think that was something that at that time when we moved here, my dad was the only one working, and he had two jobs,
mhm,
and so it was a way for because of the American system, right? It
mhm,
was a way for us to get food,
mhm,
free food without
mhm.
him moving money out of his pocket to pay for all
Yes.
of us. So just knowing the system a little bit and knowing where to get the help,
Mm,
you
that's a
know,
powerful one. Yeah.
it's important. It's important for the young
Mhm,
uh, immigrants that are moving into this
mhm,
in American system. And I also would say like don't be afraid to do what you want to do, because
mhm,
I think as young immigrants like myself, I remember I was talking to Dr. Omar in South Africa,
mhm,
and he was telling me that one of the challenges that Africans face is that they always wait for things for people to tell us what to do,
mhm,
and then we're excellent at it,
mhm, mhm,
so they always wait for people to tell us. We always kind of wait because we have that respect factor in a
mhm.
way.
Yeah.
It's cultural. So he was saying he was saying that, and I want to relate that message to this young generation and the older generation that is here. Um, Take up space and don't wait for someone
Permission.
to tell you what. Yeah, for permission. Um,
Mm,
be bold enough and be confident and trust yourself, right? Because
mm,
when we look into our society today, especially in America, and you look into the medical field, there's a
mhm,
lot of African doctors
mhm,
in
mhm.
the field,
Yep.
so I think Africans just need to believe in themselves when they come here, and don't play small. Let's
Okay.
not play. I'm not saying play recklessly, but don't play too safe.
Hmm.
um
Talking about doctors, I'm not cutting you short. I'm sure there was a lot of pressure for you to become a medical doctor because that's what most of our parents expect. Was there a lot of pressure on you, or was it only my generation that was pressured? Fortunately for me, my mom was like, whatever you can do, just do it. As long as
yeah.
you're from home, just be a good boy. I don't care what you do. But I know other friends from maybe more affluent families, they were like, you better become a doctor. You better. And sometimes they said, on. Was there a lot of pressure on you to become a nurse, become a doctor, become someone in the health field?
I wouldn't say there was pressure, but there was talk about it. There were a good handful of talks about being, working in the medical field, being a nurse.
Mhm.
But also my dad really was never the person to pressure us to do anything. He was the man that says, do what makes you happy, but
Mm.
be the best and do the best at it.
Wow.
Work hard.
Wow.
There's this saying that he always say when I was a little girl. I really didn't understand it as much as I do now.
Mhm.
He always tell us the way you make your bed, so shall you lie on it.
Oh yeah, yep.
and
I've heard that one too. I've heard another version of that.
and
As you
he
make your bed, so shall you lie in it. I've heard that one a million times. Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, he used to say that all the time. I remember this when we were living at in San Jose. He would
Mm.
say that all the time, and I just didn't understand it. Yeah, but now that I'm getting older, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what he meant. So yeah.
So if you become I don't know if you're a mother yet, if you become a mother tomorrow, would you be a stereotypical African mom, the same values that you took from your mom, or would you be an Americanized version of?
I think I would be a blended version of both. I think I'll be a
Oh,
blended version of
a
both.
hybrid mom. Okay,
Yeah,
one foot in motherland, one foot in the American land. Okay,
absolutely.
blended. Okay, blended.
Yeah,
Okay.
because
Hmm.
when I went to Cameroon in January, I saw the way the women, the way the value of the women are still there. The women still clean, cook,
Mhm,
take
mhm,
care of the home. There's still that like feminine essence there, and
mhm,
it reminded me of just being a woman.
mhm,
And I would love to translate that into my children if I
mhm.
ever when I become a mother.
Okay. So you embrace some aspects, but not all. That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes. I
Okay.
think one of the aspect that I would definitely not embrace is the spanking, the whooping,
Okay.
the
Okay.
physical abuse. I would.
Even if it's biblical, even if it brings out good results, it's like no, let's do away with this. That's what you're saying.
No,
Yeah,
no.
but
If it works, it works.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Let's not go there. That's slippery territory. But let's say someone comes to you and say, I have a very young daughter, young son who is a little too Americanized.
Mm.
What would be your advice to that parent? That on one hand, first to the parent, and then on the other hand, then to that young person who is still maybe say 21, 22, 23, 24. Maybe you probably just a little bit up north of that or
Um,
below that.
for the parent, my child is a little bit too Americanized. I would. I think I would just remind them to continue to bring in the African culture,
Mhm,
not to force it on the children,
mhm,
but also cook the African food.
mhm,
Do the African things like eat dinner together or eat breakfast together. You
mhm,
know, um, wear African clothes, right?
Hmm.
Continue the tradition, because sometimes when we see our parents doing things, then we want to copy them, right?
Hmm.
And we
Right.
want to
That's,
mimic them. We want to, so if our parents just carry on that tradition, because that's one thing we also see in the Western world today, the first generation and immigrants that move here, like myself, we are missing that mother tongue. I
yes.
can speak Gi, but I cannot speak it as well. So just
Mm. Okay.
continue to speak to them in that language. Continue to
Hmm.
do the things that we would do back home the best way that you can, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
then for the young person, they're being Americanized, I would say it's okay to feel like you're being Americanized. You're in this place where you have to adapt, because when I was growing up when I was growing up, I had to learn to be a little bit more Americanized when I was out in the world,
Hmm.
because I have to do things the American way when I'm out there in the physical world.
Interact. Yeah.
Yes. So
And
when
make friends, get dates, all that. Yeah.
yeah,
Otherwise, you'll be a social misfit. You'll be isolated. Nobody wants to ask to hang over with you, or go for
yeah,
a meal, go for coffee. That much I understand, and I hope and I believe that most African or immigrant parents, not just African, we're talking about immigrants from all over the world, because the
mhm,
immigrant experience can be very, very similar.
yeah,
Much as I love to talk about Africa, I also know my Asian friends have similar experiences. Those from the Middle East, those from Southern America, they talk about similar experiences in their homes. And
yeah.
so maybe we start to wrap it up here. Um, if somebody wants to find out more about your podcast, about your ideas, you're putting ideas into the world, where can they find out some of that? Mira?
So people can connect with me on Instagram and on TikTok at Lira Lira_NDIFON.
Hmm.
And on those both platforms, when you go there, then there's going to be a link in my bio. You can
Hmm.
click on that link, and then you'll find more of my work there. I believe I upload my website there, or I'm about to upload my website there. Either it's already up or we're about to do it. So that's what we're doing, which I am starting to be a life coach,
Hmm.
or a strategy coach, I would even say, not a life coach. And
Hmm.
my goal is to be able to support young first gen or immigrants like myself,
Hmm.
young girls and boys that are either struggling with their mental health, or just need someone to talk to, need a space where they can bounce their ideas off of, or
Hmm.
they want someone that can help them create a future, a path, right,
Hmm.
for their future self. you know
Yes.
um I'm starting to open the gate for myself, where I'm starting to receive clients. So if you want to work with me, then we can definitely do that. And sorry, one more thing. One of the things that I really focus on is reprogramming the mind, right?
Okay. I'll bring my mind to you. I need a little reprogramming here and there. But please don't forget the parents. For whatever, do not think that your message is only relevant to the young people. The parents are struggling and they need someone to intercede for them. So you
Mm,
may be their guardian angel. You may be that one person that they can come to understand better how to reach their younger children. So do not forget. You may think that, oh my God, what do I have to say with gray old people? No, that message is both relevant to the young people and the older people who need someone to intercede. I say that because I've seen others play that role, and they've played that role very, very well. So let's and for those who maybe joined a little bit late, they're thinking, who are these two talking heads? We're not talking heads. We are not talking heads. We're two serious, but also fun people who want to talk about what is the intersection of culture
mm,
and society in America, especially for people who are coming from other cultures, people coming to America. The Story Warrior channel, this little channel that is beginning to explode, explores issues relating to people who are working hard in the shadows, trying to elevate problems that people don't talk about, like mental health within the immigrant community. Story Warrior channel, we talk about those issues. But more importantly, we bring out the unsung heroes like Lyra with untold stories. Lyra has an untold story of how she got into this game. And so I want to ask Lyra, let's say you are attending an event. At this event, uh, there are three gentlemen that come to you, one from Asia, one from Europe, one from America, and all of them are begging to have coffee with you next week or when your time is available. Who would you be willing to grant their case?
So one from Asia, one
One
from
from
Europe.
one from Africa.
Oh, I would Asia, Europe, Africa. It depends where in Africa.
Okay,
If they
okay.
come from somewhere like somewhere I
Um,
haven't
Ambazonia.
no, away from Cameroon, somewhere I haven't
Okay.
experienced, I would
Yeah.
choose my African brother because
Mm.
I would love to experience that side of the culture. Um,
Okay.
Part of my goal is to travel the entire Africa, but I
Hmm.
also like to explore different people's culture. I also like to know different things. So maybe the one from Asia, I believe that
Hmm.
was one of them. So I would probably like to learn a little bit more what it's like in that culture, you
Hmm.
know, and so forth. If we have similar
Hmm.
traditions and stuff like that.
Taste. Okay. All right. And then, Lyra, if someone came to you and said, Lyra, what's your advice? I'm standing at a table. It's full of food from Cameroon. There's nang tari on the table. There's ngom tari. There's water fufu and arrow. There is achu. There
Oof.
is bongo chobi. There is you name it. What would you advise them to eat? This is a foreigner coming to you, Lyra. Which one? There's even jama and the fufu. What would you advise them to eat and why?
If they have ndole, I will advise them to eat ndole.
Wine dole.
And ndole is my favorite, but also ndole has this like unique taste. It has this like bitter leaf, but also like sweet taste at
Hmm.
the end of the. Once
Hmm.
you're finishing it, you're like, I want to try that again. What's that?
Mm,
So ndole.
okay. Even though it's a little bit bitter. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And it's fermented. Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. Then the other person comes to you and say, I need advice. Ma'am, you have a lot of experience playing basketball. My child is going to college. You should I encourage this child to play basketball, to play baseball, to play soccer, to play volleyball? What would you say and why?
I would tell them to ask the child what do they want to play.
Mm.
It's important that the child get to choose what they want to play because that then they last in that space longer.
Mm, okay. All right. Fine out. All right. Then the next one is i- i- ice cream or chocolate. Ice cream or chocolate.
Ice cream.
Okay. Tea or coffee.
Ooh. If I'm trying to be healthy, tea, but if I need a boost of energy, coffee.
Okay. Um, Superman or Hancock.
Don't really watch TV.
No idea.
No.
Nor do I. But I
Yeah.
know there are two superheroes. Okay. All right. So T, you're not a TV fan. I'm not a
Black
TV fan.
Panther. I'm kidding.
But thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking an interest in these kind of issues that can hold families together or split families apart. And as someone who has seen families struggle, my own family struggles in some areas, I am forever grateful for what you're doing because that is a work that is being done in the shadows that can help people to raise children, to cultivate happy and healthy families. And so such work doesn't always get applauded. But for me, to you, I want to say thank you so much, Lyra. Keep doing such good work because you never know whom you're touching, encouraging, or uplifting. So
Thank
keep
you.
uplifting with your work. Thank you so much, Lyra.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I just want to say one more thing. Please, guys, don't forget to follow. Go on Cameroonian News Agency, and on Sundays at 7 p.m. Cameroonian time, I also host a show called Africa Today, and we talk about everything Africa on there and ways
Africa
to develop
today.
ourselves.
I didn't even know there's a Cameroonian news agency. Go Cameroon. All right. Thank you so much, Lyra. And please keep sharing your light with the world, and God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.